Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.
Other four, Obama Buana, and it has one somehow. We did this a what catch you are brabomo. The person may catch us a one catchy. There be that sister, one catchy. Do media, Matuni didn't say be inspired. Be inspired. Me did you media ebe show crying? Me did you media ebe Kenya? Me be bua mo ina akumamu eni adwene mu foforo ye. Me gye Nyankopon twerɛsɛm so. The Bible, the scripture. Eso na me no wadi nkomo. Hwɛ eni da so wo homo a wate. Awurade bɛsa no nsura ba mu ama wate. Enka achi. Enti hyia me. Osofo Ruben and Ponsa. Memene da wei, eni memene da bia. Emra nonson abo pepepe. Mesa so to mensa. Efre nimdie fro. Etiche na ni ntire. Abadwumadie yi so. Eno wa ba beche eye Awurade asema. Ebeboa me no wumie no. Awurade nhyirawo. Other four, Obama Buana, and it has one somehow. We did this a what catch you are brabomo. The person may catch us a one catchy.
Hello, good evening. Welcome back to Youth Corner. As you know, we have started a new segment on Be Inspired named Youth Corner. I am your one and only host, Christabel Ba. I've got here with me some great panelists, as we always do. I'm going to start with my one and only bro, Controversial King.
Well, let's just say today the original controversial guy is here, so at least after the show, people get to know I'm cute, you know.
Okay. After the show, we're going for Q. Excellent. And then we have our sister.
Ellen Okuku.
And then
And the last but not least, our technological fornication. Last week, Dr. Ryan, we went to find him. So really tune in. If you haven't already, send this link to your friends. Dr. Last week, technological fornication. We have tried, we have paid, and we have got him here.
Well, actually, it was something that I needed understanding on, and I think through what the explanations that came through, I mean, I generated that term. It is not something that is originating from me. I mean, to those who actually did the explanation, we should credit them with it.
Okay.
Long distance fornication.
Distance
It's
fornication.
got technological.
And today we're here for part 2. As you know, Be Inspired, we're on all social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. So you're welcome to post your questions in. And also, if you want to send your question to the number, we've got 07425747246. So you're welcome to leave comments as well on whatever you're watching on, or to send your questions to the number that I have just said. So today's topic, we have love languages and attachment style. So just to brief us before we start, I'm going to go over the love languages, and then I'll give the panelists an opportunity to share their thoughts. So the love languages actually came from Jerry Chapman, from the books on things I wish I had known before marriage. So they are 5 key love languages. So our discussions surrounding the love languages will be based on these 5 things. The first one being words of affirmation. So that's saying nice, complimenting thing. Be like, oh, wow, you look nice. So that's like an example of a word of affirmation. And then we have quality time, spending time with people, you know, being in their presence. And then we have physical touch. I don't think this one needs any explanation. Physical touch is physical touch. And then we have acts of service, that is doing something to lessen the burden for the other person, or just doing something to help them out. And then we have gifts, receiving of gifts. So these are some of the love languages that is believed by this author to govern the way we have our relationships. So to kickstart the conversation, I'm going to go around and ask everybody what they think their top rated love language is for them personally, and why they think that is so. I think I'll start with my good brother right here.
Well, I would go in for act of service, and I say this because always I say I am able to generate a lot of ideas, but as to implementation, it becomes a problem.
Okay.
So when I have somebody who is able to complement the effort of putting most of the ideas into execution, then that person becomes somebody who becomes very much attracted to me, or somebody that I'm very much interested in. It does not necessarily have to emanate from somebody I am romantically inclined with, but the idea that you are putting in any effort to help me or assist me in anything I do is something that I really love. And so I think mine is out of service.
I like that one. I'd say mine is probably the same too. So
That's
I
great.
hear what you mean.
I mean, there are some others that I can't tell about who they are, but I think it will be best if we hear from them.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing, to be honest, but because Bright had already said it, so I will change mine to ways of affirmation.
Right.
What is ways of affirmation? Because most of the time you hear ways of affirmation from a lot of people. Like me, right from infancy, I've been having a lot of ways of affirmation from my parents. Wherever I go, I have words of affirmation. So, in my own opinion, I took words of affirmation as my positive vibes. Wherever I am positive. I take like positive things. Moving forward, what should I do to make myself happy? I encourage myself day in and day out because nobody can cheer you up more than your own self. So I'm going for words of affirmation.
Well,
Same
I'll say
physical
quality time. Quality time because, like everything you're saying, ropes into quality time. Because if I can be able to set my partner very well by doing some chores for him, like cooking or whatsoever, is when we've been able to spend some quality time. So everything I think works on that bedrock. If I can be able to give words of affirmation to my partner, that's when we have had quality time together. That's when I can appreciate you. That's when I can be using those positive things. If there's no connection, I can't be able to use those sweet words for you. So I think quality time works for me because it's the bedrock of everything. If we have quality time, we will speak more often. If we have quality time, we will spend time with each other. If we prioritize quality time in our relationships, it gives us a good footing. So for me, quality time carries the day.
That is very valid. I think when our Sister Ellen was speaking, I think she brought up childhood. And with these things, usually it does have some backing with the way you are raised and your childhood. For me, instance, I know I said acts of service is definitely one for me. But I think growing up, especially my mother, the way she showed love was always through like gifts. So I've almost associated like love with gifts. So if I don't get gifts, I'm like, oh, you don't like
really
me.
love me.
So I think that is more so from the backing and how I was raised, and maybe the way my mom received love, or maybe the way she chose to receive love, will have an impact on how you then
understand love from that
love.
position.
So with that, do you think there's anything that you think has influenced the way that you now receive love, or even if it's the opposite, the way you now don't like to receive love?
Well, I think that the fact is very fundamental that how you are being raised. So language actually goes in line with your temperament. And most of the times how you behave, how your receptibility to certain things are actually fundamental to how you were being raised, whether from character perspective, parental influence, schooling, education, all of these things sum up together to sort of influence what you think or see as something you like or you have interest in. So it's really much an ideal thing to say how you are being raised, what was communicated to you as love is one of the things that really sits with you as love. And I say this because you see, for example, Sister Ellen said her parents will keep on affirming words to her. They keep on encouraging her. For such a person, even though gift will be very good for her, her interpretation of love from the bedrock of how she was raised, she would appreciate saying good things to her more than giving her gifts, even though that is also a good thing to do for love. So I think it is important that we know this, but it is also important to identify what influences your choice of love language.
Alex, do you any insight from your childhood on why? Because I know you said quality time. Do you think there was anything in the way you were raised that maybe, I don't want to say groomed, but maybe made you prefer that way?
I think I would say yes, because when I was young, I could, for 5, 6 years, I could normally see the dad and my mom like always together, especially when dinner is served and dad is not at home, mom will not eat, waiting for daddy to come. And when daddy comes, we are all set to go to our rooms. And whilst daddy, they are all eating together, they'll be talking. Young boy trying to keep my ears to listen to what we were saying. But it was that beautiful, when we go into church, dad will tell you, come on, the Francis is not for you. So at a very young age, I detested loving to serve Francis because when I go to daddy, he shout at me. And that was when cantata was on a high in Ghana. I think the Ghana fans watching can attest to it. At my young age, cantata was the talk of the day. Mostly on Sundays, you realize that when it's time for cantata, daddy will sack all of us and ask us to go to our study to go and study, and he'll be in the sofa with mommy and we'll be watching it. And we could hear the sound of the cantata, and you could see we wish we were there to experience it. So from that early age, I could see that entanglement between my parents, and it was something I've always desired. That hey, one day if I also get a chance, I'll find that nice way to bully my kids, to get them away from sin, so I could enjoy the best moment of my partner. So it did influence my choice actually.
Yeah, that's great. And with that in mind, do you think that the way, how can I word this? So if you are with somebody who maybe have different
understanding of this language.
is there a way that you think you can change? Do you think you can change your love language, or do you think it's like consistent? Like, say how like you said it's acts of service. You think it'll have to be till you die, it'll always be
Not
acts of
at all.
service?
Absolutely not at all. The fact is that for example, if you are being influenced when you are young, there is a proper chance that whilst you grow, something might also influence your mindset on your choices that you make. And so the fact that you see act of service to be, and you see, in fact, the truth is that in communicating love, most of the times, all of these 5 languages we are talking about seem to be intertwined, but then you seem to be tilted towards one another.
Yeah.
So it is not the case where you stand out for only one of them, but then it's a mixture of them all, but then one fits properly for you. So with time, the sort of experiences you have tilt you towards another side. There could be a time where physical touch or maybe spending quality time will be something you would have to learn purposefully because that is the language that suits better for example, your partner. So if you are trying to complement the process, you would also be learning the process. And by way of that, you may, in one point or one way or the other, learn an attribute of something that was part of another, and it can become yours as well. You know, sometimes you say, oh, let me try doing something. You try it again and again, and it becomes part and parcel of you. So you can change to suit any other. And that is also giving us an indication that we are not fixated on just a thing, but then we are just mostly interested in one side, whereas we contain a bit of each of these languages. Yeah.
No, I understand that. I think maybe you answered this question a little bit, but I'm saying, say for instance, I maybe out of the 5 I've said, I know we've discussed words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, gifts, but maybe my one, if I rank them, maybe my least favorite one is physical touch.
Right.
That one is one that I do not care for at all. And I get with somebody or I meet somebody who that is very high up on there. Do you think there's a way to manage that so that we
so
can...
I get your customer, but we a chance to
Yes, I think there should be a way to manage because we are talking about relationship, isn't it? And 2 persons can never be one. We've got 2 individuals coming from two different backgrounds. So what I would like will definitely be not what my partner would like.
Yeah.
So in as much as possible, the 2 shall be one. We comprehend each other. We comply with each other. And I think if my partner wants physical touch and I like words of affirmation, we have to work hand in hand because sometimes let something happen to you. At some point you might really realize that you don't even need the words of affirmation, but at this point you need a physical touch to cheer you up. So in one way or the other, when you people come together, you have to comply with each other.
Yeah. And I think that's also comes into like the willingness. I think we've discussed some of these stuffs before that sometimes these, especially when it comes to relationships, about, I don't want to say compromise, but also knowing that you can't be too stringent in your way. Be like, me, I don't like physical touch, don't touch me, never touch me.
Yeah.
There might be a good way to, balance that out in...
Exactly. That's the key one.
It's a necessary compromise, the reason for you doing that is to make sure the relationship goes on and builds that sort of cohesion that you need. And I've always said that you cannot build something if you're not ready to compromise, because definitely you're dealing with a different partner. And just like my co-partner said, we have to understand that we all come from different backgrounds and different perspectives. How we appreciate things might not be the same. So because of that, it is necessary that if I like quality time, if you like physical touch or whatsoever, I should be able to balance the two so that it is not just about me satisfying my wants, but satisfying your wants as well. Because when you are satisfied and I am satisfied as well, it keeps the bond going. So for me, I think it's a necessary compromise when it gets to that situation.
And to add to that, I think you can change someone to suit what you want. The problem is how you approach the change. You meet a person and the person is entirely focused on a thing. If you truly want to change that person, for example, you meet somebody who has bad attitude, you truly love the person, but the person is having a character that you don't like. You can change the person, but the way and manner you go about the process will determine whether the person sees that to be something he or she should embrace or something you are forcefully trying to do.
Okay.
So I think it is a blend of a balanced approach, I would say. You can, but then in the process, how you do it also determine whether that will be possible or that won't be.
I'm going to pause you there and remind everybody that you're more than welcome to send your questions in. We're on YouTube, Facebook Live. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to send the questions in, and there will be time for us to read them through. And now back to what Bright was saying.
Yeah.
I have a thought about that, because I know that sometimes people will say that, or especially like grown-ups will say, oh, when you marry, they'll change. So now you're almost signing up for like not what you have in front of you, but the perspective of what they're going to change. And also, I know that all of us here are believers.
Yeah.
So sometimes this is maybe I'm being strict, and if I'm being strict, we're close friends
Of
because you
course.
guys can tell me that, Christopher, you're being strict.
Yeah.
But I have a consensus that we're all believers. We all read the word. If you have bad character, what kind of Bible? No Bible learned to me as a self. Me, I will be able to change you. So sometimes I think, and also you don't want to. I want the change to be authentic and be from you. So when you say that you can, I understand like the logic behind it, but I don't always think that it's accurate. I always think it's the best approach to take. I think whoever you have in front of you, if you like it, you should take it. If not, you should go. I think we've had Elder Godfred on here before, whereas he said something similar, that whoever you have in front of you, you're not thinking about who's in this country, who's in that country. You just think, what in front of me, can I like go for it? I think we also had one of our brothers say that you will take their sense and their nonsense, everything. So
of course.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
Oh, yes, it was Brother Robert that said that. Yeah. I know Sister Elena.
To be fair, it's true. I believe in change. But then normally, what a person is going into a marriage, it is not entirely promised that the person will change. So it's basic that if the person that you are seeing, you've not done anything to help or to modify his or her ways, the person will not decide out of his or her own volition to change.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there are situations where, for example, you are helping the person to try and change from all the things he or she does, then the person is able to get accustomed to it. But of course, once you get settled with it, whether you like it or not, you go for it and that's it.
So you're not telling the viewers to, if this one has bad character, you're doing Bob the Builder, you're trying to fix them.
So the first position you should take is not going for such a person.
Okay.
Once you do and commit, it's like when they say you are eating an old lady's food. Once you dip your hands into it, you have to eat. You have to continue the process and do it. So normally, you must try the process of helping the person to change at the first instance. But once you commit your hands into it, it's even unfair to know a person truly. And then once you are in a relationship now, you want to force the person to make changes about it. So like,
When Brother Bright said change, I just laughed in my head. Changing a person or someone's personality or someone's character being built
from the onset.
From the onset, it's so hard, and this is one of the mistakes most of us make. You see a person, this person is a drunkard. You want it and you went for that. I have a friend who went in for such a person. No, Ellen, no, he listens to me. I'm gonna change him. And it was this same character that broke up the marriage. Why couldn't they change? Because they managed to stay for about 6 years. But the same attitude now became so severe that the lady right here, even in her house, people could knock on her door and tell her that your husband has fallen. Can you go for? And that embarrassment. She couldn't take it any longer. So with this change thing, like, oh, I am an Adventist, he is, oh, he will definitely come to my church because he loves me. At the beginning, he will, but it's not certain.
I think that is also very true. I think we went to our local camp meeting. I think one of the things that within the youth department they said that we shouldn't be in the business of dating to convert. As in, you will date an unbeliever with the intention of convert. That's not what God told. When He said baptize all the nations, He didn't tell you to date all the nations and then convert them. He said you should preach the word. So I totally agree with what you said about you don't always have to think that, or you can change a person. And also, we'll say that at the beginning, it's very easy to be. Everyone's going to put their best foot forward. Me, I'm not going to.
It's not even love in the first place. That's what Gary Chapman was talking about, that there is a first stage of romantic love where we think out of madness, the spirit of euphoric takes over us and everything is right, everything is perfect about the man you meet. You get into the second stage where it becomes intentional and you realize that your man is actually mad, putting up certain kind of behavior that you don't like. So first stages of love is actually not love. It's some sort of
Last.
It's not even lust. I don't put it as
infatuation. I always say
exactly.
you're just
It's euphoric. It's a feeling that dies with time, and that's when it gets to the point where you have exhausted that feeling. That's when your eye becomes so clear to know the sort of bad things that normally happen.
I was about to use Gary's to explain that. Hey, come on, the early stages is beautiful. You know, like when you walk around town, you having the ice cream pops together, you know, he pats your back, he pats his back, and you know that jingle laughs and all that. You think, oh yeah, I'm on track. So yeah, we are mostly blindfolded in the first stages, but when the reality sets on you, that's when you realize, no, come on, you are making a wrong choice. What we need to understand is there are some changes you cannot make. There are some changes. Don't be so much confident that you can effect it. You know, some changes are really hard to come back. There are some changes you can do. Maybe like some basic things that maybe you realize that your partner has a problem, maybe tidying things. You know, it's something you can correct over a period of time.
Yeah.
You know, but changes like act of faith, like belief, convictions, it's hard. It's hard. So you need to be very sensitive with the change you are looking for to change. If the change is some of these basic things like maybe upkeep, how the person you can change dressing, you can change appearance. These are some things you can effect your touch on. But character is hard. It's hard. So you need to understand the type of change you want, or you end up gnashing your teeth.
No, exactly. Thank you, Claire. So, just moving on, because as we said that we'll be discussing love languages and also attachment style. I'm going to move on to attachment style, and also just to give everybody a reminder, you're more than welcome to send your questions through on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you may be watching us from. You're more than welcome to send your question through, or alternatively, if you want to send your questions through messages, you can call on or give a text rather on 07425747246, and we are monitoring. So I think Brother Alex has got
we've got two messages. The first one is from they're all from Afrani Okese Gabriel. He says, watching live, shout out to my brothers Alexander Uso and Sabrita Bwadi Jesse. And he goes on to add, I truly believe that real change begins with open communication. When we foster genuine conversations, we create a space where both partners can express themselves freely. However, it's crucial for both individuals to embrace vulnerability and wholeheartedly decide to open up. By doing so, we can navigate the path together, taking meaningful steps to support each other in this journey of transformation. Valid point there, vulnerability.
I think it is a very valid point, and it moves us beautifully into our attachment style. Because
even before we get to the attachment style, I have some problems with every other aspect of the love language conversation we just had.
Okay.
Some people
so that's a real controversial person.
In the wake of, oh, I love act of service, they want you to do everything for them. You overburden your boyfriends. Oh, I want quality time, and they want to eat attention 24/7 and sleep. No, that's an abuse.
Oh, really?
Yes, of course, that's an abuse. Somebody wants physical touch, and the person has no discretion about physical touch. I mean, even in public, they want to. I mean, it's sometimes to a certain level, it's good to display. I mean, public display of love, but other times it's too much. I mean, touching yourself, each other, even in public spaces, that's not physical touch. That's fornication.
Not
That's
logical.
that's not. This is proper. This is not even digitalized. This is proper physical fornication. You see, so at times, sometimes we abuse some of these things. We know you want quality time, but my dear, we won't eat that one 24/7. Other times, we need to get time for other things.
Yeah.
I can't be with you all the time. Are we going to eat quality time? No, we won't. So, it's a good idea that sometimes we make emphasis on some of these love languages, but most of the times, let's not overly operate in that remit to an extent that it affects the effectiveness of our relationship. Someone would say, mine is words of affirmation. And that person, no, if you don't tell the person that, oh, your dress is nice, and you move out from the house, and someone will say to her that, oh, her dress is nice, you are dead. The whole day you are in trouble. Maybe perhaps you didn't really catch up the idea of that beautiful dress you They have a lot of defense, to be fair, as to whether you saw it or not. Maybe you may have given a clue to it. Oh, your dress is beautiful, but they want emphatic words. Come on now. Sometimes it's a bit too much for us.
Okay.
But of course, the abuse of it is also there. Let's try to limit our operations in those deeds. In the name of love language, you are bullying your man every time. Come and do my work for me. Every time.
That one, I'm a bit guilty. I like a gift. I like a gift.
Some of them, oh, today is Women's Day, gift. Boyfriend Day, Father's Day, gift. Ah, my dear wife.
Yeah.
But because of your gift,
This man, you going somewhere, you've put up. Just when you step out, wow, you look so intimate. Well, so he doesn't see you. Then at the end, why does everybody compliment you? Because your eyes were not open wide enough for you to see.
Sometimes it's too much. Every Sabbath, even
See, your wife is every pleasant. It comes to know.
Yes, no, I think that's a
normalcy.
very
Normalcy.
important thing. So me, I do this thing where I balance. Sometimes you go looking homeless. You will step outside looking a bit scary. Maybe you'll just go.
What's
your
wrong?
hair is not kept.
What's
you
wrong?
go outside looking a bit scary.
Peter,
Wow.
You're always
Put together, yeah.
one day, like you're supposed to even communicate your plan that you need something. Let's say you want to change your place.
Yeah.
Then I see that always
And I'm actually the attic. We're gonna talk them. Then that's true. That's true.
Communicating. And you come asking me for it. See that you always need it. Don't see that technically lacking.
Yeah.
And the least to be very picky and decent moments. There are some days you cannot be at
like when? Are you like me?
Let's say kids are in the picture, you're very much aware that maybe the kids need something very urgent. And maybe the kids look, I really bad this, but most of the time the kids communicate their words through their mouths. So you can't tell lady, Anne wants this, Anne wants that. Okay, I'm working together. Then you come back to
you have a daughter called Anne. I see. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So then Anne wants that. I'll get this one. Then that's it. Once you come back, I think I need.
You think it's too much? But sometimes with situations like that, I think it's more about like openness. Because I know there are set relationships where like I know what you have. I'm not gonna come ask say for instance my partner and say, listen, this week I want a G-Wagon. When I know that he doesn't have the G-Wagon.
Be realistic.
I'll be realistic. If I say, oh, I want a Chanel bag, that one I know you can manage. So be realistic in the means of things that you're asking for. I do think that is also very important when we do stuff like that.
Yeah, so let's be careful. Other than that, in the name of quality time, the boys will stop working. They will stay at home 24/7. They stay with their girlfriends. It's problematic.
Stay at home.
And the same people will come and tell you didn't give me a gift. Meanwhile,
it's true.
They didn't allow you to even have time to go to work. Sometimes men need time to focus. I know women too would have to focus. But other times people need their own confinement. I mean their own space to just deal with things in their own way.
Yeah.
But in the name of quality time, if you don't give them attention, there is problem. But It is what it is. We need to balance it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I also think sometimes it's also about asking questions. I know that the one that you got, sometimes I do think, because for instance, what Bright is saying about quality time, for instance, quality time for them might be you are sat scrolling on your phone, I'm also sat scrolling on my phone. That to me is sufficient as quality time.
Yeah.
But to somebody else, if we're not actively talking, if we're not actively having deep conversations, that's not quality. Maybe you spend the whole day, maybe 12 hours, you've just been laying there, but to them, that's not the quality time because you haven't had the discussion. So I do think at times it's also very important to communicate the types of love languages, because I know it's very broad, but there might be some specifics. Somebody might say gifts, but their gifts might be that they want one big gift every year, like a car. Whereas somebody else is like, oh, if you go to the shop and you see something at £2, £1.
Some people even celebrate the intention. The fact that you went out and you said, oh, I got you a chocolate. They appreciate the idea.
More so,
exactly. It's not even about the quantum of gift you give them or how repeated you do the process, but the idea that, oh, my darling was thinking about me. I was in his thoughts. He bought me this chocolate or something like that. Some people celebrate it that way, not those people who are looking for
G-Wagons. No, I totally get that sentiment as well, because I think with me sometimes it's also, I think talk is like cheap. Personally, I'm like, everybody can say, everybody can say anything.
You are not for words of affirmation. That's
no, see, I'm not. If you never compliment me, I don't mind. Like, I'm okay. I don't need words of affirmation. That is definitely not one of my.
A lawyer, I understand that you wrap around words. I know that's what you do.
Forget that one. But for me, it's like, if you've got something, I see that you've taken the time. So I feel that that's where the quality time comes in. You've taken like the financial to actually go out and purchase it, and then to also know that maybe like you thought about me as a person. That's almost like an act of service. So say if like I'm Pauline, I really want the chocolate, you want me the chocolate. To me, it kind of bundles everything up in one for me personally. So that's why I would think. But for me, words.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Words is God. I used to think anybody can. Me right now, I think I say this every week. I can sit here and tell you all. Right, what do you want? You want a mansion? 1.5 million.
You are good at convincing people.
What's the mansion? I have 6. You want just one? I can give it to you.
Talk is cheap. You see how talk is becoming very cheap from your side. I understand that.
So we're going to move on to the attachment styles. So just to give a brief for the viewers. So there is 4 main attachment style, and this was comprised by, I think her name is Mary Ainsworth. She was like a psychologist. If you have some psychologists among us, so if there's any wrong information, you will, correct it. So the first one is secure attachment. So just some background on the study that she did. She did it with children, and basically she'll leave them in a room and remove them from their mother and see their reactions to it. So with the securely attached child, once the mother goes, they'd be upset, but once the mother come back, she'd be able to soothe the child. So secure attachment just lets you know that you have like a healthy attachment style. And usually relationships, those are the type of people who are really good with like communication, setting their boundary. They're okay with trusting. Like that's the, what's it called? The aim. Everybody wants to be securely attached. And then we have the anxious attachment. And these ones are the ones where, like, I think when Bright was talking about the quality time, they're very clingy. That's what I think about anxiously attached people.
They are very preoccupied. That's what I understand.
Always very clingy. Always wants like closeness. They're very like sensitive, and they can be needy and need like constant reassurance. So I think in these studies, I think with the children, if Brother Alex will correct me, when the mother came back, they wouldn't be soothed. They would be soothed, it would take a longer. Because then we have the avoidant dismissive who say when the mother has gone and come back, they're angry that the mother has left. So the child will keep crying. The mother will say, Dad, they're like, why did you go? So they will keep crying. So we come on to the avoidant dismissive. These ones are the ones who are independent. Oh, I think I've missed them up. The one that was for the one before. Whereas with this one, with the avoidant dismissive, the child couldn't care less if the mother came, if they went. If they leave, they're fine. These people are very independent, and I feel as though they're the opposite of the anxious, where like they're very arm's length. They don't need quality time. If you don't see me, it's okay. Me, I can do everything by myself. I'm okay. Like I don't really need anything. And they can tend to appear emotionally distant. They won't have those in-depth conversations that those secure people will have. They know that them themselves are okay, and it can be hard to bring people in when you are avoidant. And then we have the disorganized, fearful. And they want closeness, but they fear getting hurt. So this usually comes from like a lot of unresolved like trauma or like trust issues. So usually they tend to do in relationships, they tend to do this push-pull behavior. But they want the lovers. I say, I always think of it like, when you eat meko, it's hot.
Nice.
But you
Very nice. I mean, you love it.
So they're like this. I heard. Like, it's like our Sister Ellen's kebab. If you haven't had Sister Ellen's kebab, honestly,
When are we having the next edition?
It's
Oh, and
spicy,
you didn't
but you
invite
want
me.
it. It's
Oh my
spicy.
goodness.
Your nose is running, but still, you're eating it. So this is exactly how I think about the fearfully avoidant or the disorganized. That they want that attention, but as soon as they get it, now they are scared and retract. So if we can go around, if everybody, based on like the brief little, what was it, like a little lecture I've given you, I've talked a lot. What attachment style would you say you have, and what do you think poses issues? And if it's not securely attached, like what are some steps that can be taken to get to that secure attachment style? Because I know it's from your childhood, but I'm very aware that it can change.
Very true.
Yeah. I'll start with our psychologist.
Well, let me go for the other one. I think I'll go for the fourth one, which is the fearful avoidant attachment. I'll say that because, especially in the generation of time ourselves, we don't know some place much against anything that happens. Generally, people who fall in this category normally might have suffered abuse. Probably, let me do in the context of youthful age. They might have entered a relationship and family. Everyone from that because you got all my partners, like you get beaten by your partners. So that sort of fear leads the lasting part of it. So irrespective of how original the new partner might be, it becomes very hard to fit into the qualities. And for me, I think it's one of the areas where, especially as you, we should be able to channel our energies to be able to speak more about it, reassure these people who find themselves in this situation. There's still always a chance. I would say that if you get knocked down by a car, probably you more time. You have been knocked down by a car.
Hey, really? Yes. Wow. It's very safe, are you? You don't look both ways when you cross the road.
On the eve of I take my call back evaluation from was GSC. I don't know down the car. Yes, very like every house. I'm still
That's very unfortunate.
Yes, I'm talking about the road. So you just imagine saying, okay, well, due to my examination, I don't know down the car, so that's it. I'm never sitting in a car again. I'm not going anywhere I see a car. That kind of fear that creates in you. I think these are some of the things these people are so much scared. We need to create the education for them to understand that, of course, love is a child thing. That's why I said utilize love in what you describe as very beautiful, very beautiful. And it's always subjective. What I see right here is here. So the fact that person A pattern doesn't mean person B will miss it. People need to give everybody a fair chance and fair play for them so they can all exit what they have. It's just an assurance people out there who find this in their situation. Hey, come on. Let go. Give yourself an assurance. If it doesn't work, keep going.
Yeah. But sometimes with things like that, it's easier said than done. Like you can sit here and tell them, okay, your ex used to beat you, but this one might not beat you. There isn't a guarantee, but I feel as though, especially when it comes to like relationships, there's an element of like craziness or like trust that you must have because you can never be too sure on anything. I don't think there's like a matrix for like, oh, once we've done this, then I'm 100% confident. There's like a point of risk that you almost have to take. So I think I would say that as practical advice for somebody who is in that situation, if you look out for certain patterns and make sure, if you have like almost like a guideline that you can keep for yourself and know that, okay, the first guy, maybe he used to raise his voice at me and then that raising the voice turned into pushing me. And then from pushing me now, he was punching the wall, from the wall to you. So maybe you might be really strict in the way you date and say that, listen, if you raise your voice at me, I can't do it. It's not a guarantee, but it can give some assurances to yourself that you can take the risks. Yeah. So I've got another question. It says, what role do attachment styles play in conflict resolution within relationships? I think within relationship, conflict resolution is a very, very key aspect. And I know that the way we're raised and all these attachment styles play a massive role into it. I personally have a friend who is an only child. So she's saying that now in her current relationship, she feels like she's not good at conflict resolution because she never had a sibling who she would constantly have to conflict resolution. Yeah, whereas her partner is the older brother. He has like 4 younger siblings. He's had lots of practice doing that.
Boxing.
So even with like me and my brother, we would fight, but then we'd make up. So my mom like, I'm not getting involved because you two will fight and then you'll be best friends again. That skill of being like, okay, we fought, we've got our issue out. How do we resolve that? How do you think, based on your attachment style, or even like your upbringing, how could that influence it, or how could you help?
Well, I would want to start from the previous question and then build on to this one. The fact is that sometimes we know the kind of pit we are getting ourselves into. We just choose to do what we want to do irrespective of the risk. My understanding is that, and I will not necessarily associate that with one of these attachments. My understanding is that people can have any kind of fundamentals, whether the way they were shaped, the experiences they've made. But in moving forward away from whatever situation you find yourself in, or whatever experience that have influenced who you are at the moment, one of the things you should understand is that every relationship, if it will be stable, there is meant to be some degree of vulnerability between the partners. Now, who you choose to be vulnerable for is your choice. And that choice should not be made out of nothing. I mean, you are going into a man, you have an experience, a past relationship where you have been beaten, very much abused all of the times. And you are going into a man, he hasn't laid a physical hand on you, but then constantly he is threatening you of what he can do. Then you know that's what popularly is said, a red flag. So it is not, even though much has to do about some of these attachments, but I also think that we must make a conscious effort to know where and who to be vulnerable for. And when we do it that way, it will help us to at least veer a bit away from our experiences and be open once again to new kind of experiences and new love. Some people, because of experiences, now they can't love anymore. Perhaps they were abused in the past. Because of that, they can't really open up to people anymore. It is really important that we try to learn how to resolve matters, irrespective of how we came by. No matter your background, it is always a good thing to know how to resolve things. I say that normally, how well you can resolve a matter with, for example, you, might not be the same. If you use that same strategy with me, it might not work.
Yes, definitely.
So know the person you are dealing with in terms of that conflict resolution, and know what tailored ideal style of conflict resolution really works for this partner. There are some people, no matter the anger, no matter the level of anger, if you sit them down and you talk through it, they are very much comfortable and fine with that. There are some you need to, first of all, tell them you are sorry first before you can address the issues. You can't be reasonable with them. Not for a second. You have to play by their emotional advantage. Say sorry, do the and stuff, and make sure they are settled in before you become very reasonable. Others would want you to explain to them why you did, and all that before you finally settle on how to resolve these conflicts. So I think resolving conflicts normally is a matter of who you are dealing the issue with and how best you can solve that with. And I think it's people based.
Definitely.
Who you know, how you know it, what they think will work for them, and how you can put it
I think
up.
that's valid. It's not a one way fits all. I think it's even.
No.
I don't have any children, but I think it's even. All your kids aren't the same. Maybe the way that you raise
Of
one,
course.
you'll have to. Maybe I'll ask Sister Ellen because I know she's amongst us. We've got a soon to be married, but we don't have any married couples on the panel. Let's see if we've got any ideas to share.
Yeah. Resolving conflict. Let me start it from my background with what I was growing up.
Your father said you were very stubborn.
I was very strict because I had these two strong boys with me, and if I was not really that, they would really always like to bully me. So what my dad used to say is, my dad was one person who never used to talk. Let's take issue in the house. My mom can talk, and the following morning she'll come and continue. My dad will always say, me, when she talks like this, I'll always say, when I first met her, the ways I said to her, then I keep those things she's saying out there. So growing up, you see them fight, and then within 4 hours, they had this particular chair. You see them sat there and be on you. So we call that chair Nipanseri because within the last 4 hours, my mom was talking and she could talk to the point that all her boys would go, and my dad was at one place and be looking at, can I bring this to my marriage? No. So I have to look at my husband and look at where I am coming from because he will never talk. And the more you talk, that's yes, cold sores because he doesn't want you to talk. And if you don't talk, I didn't encourage it. So what we realize is, why should we even fight? Is it even necessary, especially here? I fight with him. Who am I going to talk to? So what do we do? We fought and we never spoke for 2 days.
Oh wow.
And it was like, I said, what's the show? And me, I was like, I'm not even gonna talk. I'm not even gonna pretend to even laugh. But it was so funny. But one thing we realized and talked about is, we sat down, flushed all the issues out, said everything freely from our hearts. And what we adopted was, whenever we are going to sleep, we have to bring any issues within that day that went well and the ones that did not go well. And then we started that, and it's been helping because we saw that there was even no point of fighting. And sometimes we think about those fights and we would be like, was this even necessary? It will not. And the whole thing is, it will not be a fight from us. It will be a fight from something somebody said or something about the friend, and the friend is sleeping, enjoying eating, and we are here not even talking because of that person. So what do we do now? Every minute we have time before we pray and go to bed. Oh, what went well today? What didn't go well? And we are just going smoothly without any issues. So I think that's what I have adopted, because I can't bring what I experience. I can bring some of the good things in there, but the way my mom and dad used to resolve their issue, it's not how we can resolve ours. So we've also found our own way of resolving issues.
And that's very important, because I think even Bright was saying that the way you resolve an issue with person A might not be the same way you can resolve the issue with person B. So as you said, maybe with your parents that worked perfectly. Maybe if they adopted the way that you went about it, it wouldn't have worked for them.
Exactly.
Sometimes I do think it is important to understand each other. Just as we start to close up, I've just got a questions for my brother Alex regarding the same topic, the same conversation. When it comes to attachment style, what benefit do you think it would be on understanding your significant other's attachment style in helping you conflict resolve? So say for instance, if you know me, I am avoidant. I'm like, I don't care about anything. I'm hyper independent. So when we have a fight, I'm just even like, you know what? I'll be okay. I'll break up with you. It's okay. It's over. I'm fine. I'll be okay. I'm breaking up with you. Throw the towel in. Any opportunity, I'm like that. How would you conflict resolute with somebody who is like that, as opposed to somebody who is maybe a bit more like anxious and a bit more clingy. They're like, you didn't call, and they're now hyperventilating and they're discussing. How would you go about resolving those disputes with those different types of people?
I've always said something. You just know how to deal with people when they're angry during their good times. When they're in their very lovely moments, what are some of the things they do? You have to be take people, especially if you get to know that your partner in your time for that belongs to the independent class. You don't really care whether you give them attention, they are learning what you should do. You should be able to know these things when you become on the same level with somebody. So when you start noticing those signs, I've always said if I want to learn about yeah. So I have this thought that there will be a time you won't be certain happy like you're going to get. So in the joyful moments, what were some of the things now you did? That's just that.
Okay, examples, because I don't think I'm following.
Okay. So let's say you realize that your partner is in English, this is a slush. Like any moment you get, let's go get some slush. So you get a slush and you take my slush. Then you realize that maybe if you find that she started to come intentional. When you buy a slush and people the same one. No, like it's intentional.
Yeah.
Continue doing for 5 years. There will be a day if you come and she has not taken, don't worry. Don't take it.
It's okay, there's hope. There's hope.
Leave it, still leave it.
Yeah.
Buy a new one. Keep it there. When you do that for consider like your comments, come on, she's a human, she reacts. And I will be never come out. There's a just rushing at that. So when the day she opens her mouth, it's still like, yeah, okay, good. There's a day she's ready to talk.
Yeah.
Because if she's not ready to talk, she won't even utter that thing. But you look for that moment. And that moment will definitely come. She'll find a way to get attention that I'm not in good terms with you. Why are you buying this lunch? I think you just
yeah, I get what you mean.
And out of that, if you use that to be your glowing moments, and that's maybe at the instance, it'll be hard for them to give you that kind of good vibe they want. I mean, go slow, relax, chill out, come back, still be yourself. No, this not happen. So when we are happy, try to know the triggers. Yeah. The triggers will help you solve issues for people like that who don't know. So let's say as a mother, your child is not interested whether you are around or not. Definitely, as a mother, you know the place the child loves. Yeah. So when you go back, you're not like interested to know where you're back or not. When coming back for the item she loves, even though she's not interested in talking to you, she'll be interested to have a date. Yeah. And it's a way to talk to her. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe to the work kept me very busy. So try to look for the trigger moments because for those people, that's the magic. If you don't know their triggers, you're not correct. Yeah. I've learned something. I think that's a good insight. Maybe think about the happy times. What do they want? I'm definitely going to take that. I'll come and give a review maybe in a couple of months' time. If I fight with anybody, if I fight with my brother or anything, I'll come back and I'll be like, you know what? I tested that out and this is what happened.
Well, there are some people, if they are dismissive people, sometimes their way of solving the issue is to dismiss them. They decide not to talk about it. With time, they find out to be solution. Yeah. If you meet a clingy person, even if it takes 10 years, they would revisit the matter. If we don't talk about it, we are not moving forward. Yeah. So I think it boils down to who people are. I can forgive you no matter how much you have hurt me. If with time, I decide not to talk about it. Yeah. Maybe that won't work for somebody who totally needs to, do the old style, the old traditional style. Yeah. Admit your fault first before we move on. So people are different. And I think it works for them as and when you know what will be a tailored solution for them. And I think that's what works.
Thank you. That's why we really need to know the person you are with, know the kind of relationship you are going into. Because, we've got these individual differences. One thing I've been telling, don't do it. Don't do it. You know what? Don't repeat it. Yeah. And you keep doing it. What do? sometimes I just have to ignore you totally,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the only solution that will make me happy.
Yeah.
With this one, I say to everyone who get closer, I'll be saying to my husband, you know what? I've repeated this so many times. To wait, because when I get out of that thing, Kwabna, that is it.
Yeah.
So please don't do it. And when it gets to that point, I have to be honest. I don't care no more.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I always put myself first. I
Yeah.
want to secure myself first. No matter what, this thing disturbs me. I've told you so many times, don't do it. And you keep repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
So I just have to ignore you and live my life. And not, we are Christians, but to be honest, nothing will just bring me back to the same thing anymore.
Yeah, no,
I think I need to change it now.
But it is difficult, and sometimes it's easy for us to sit here and say the ideal situation, but when it comes to practicality, that is very different. So it's always about baby steps. So just to conclude on our love languages and attachment style, if everyone can conclude on their thoughts about it and how well they think they can sort of mesh. And I also have like a dire question that nobody put one in, but this is a question for me. Do you think if you're a particular attachment style, is there an attachment style you should avoid? If you see that in somebody, maybe you're very clingy and you have avoided, do you think that can mesh? If one of you can take that question and see if they can be meshed, or if you would just work on changing them.
First of all, for me, I think if I wouldn't want to meet someone who is living in anxiousness. So, and I know that for myself, which is why I do not want to, get into a relationship with another person who is living in that state of anxiety. I may say words, I may put you into some, I call it laboratory process where we just try things out.
Hey, right,
Of
with
course.
people's daughters. You're putting people's daughters in laboratory.
Life must be full of trials, fun, trying out new things.
Hey.
And that process, that process is more like trying to sort of assess a new medicine at the laboratory. You don't know what the resultant effect will be, but then you learn through the process. If you are anxious, we can't be going on these skyscrapers. There are people who even fear being at exactly. I want us. Formality is always not the best. Human beings, we don't even want to follow the law. You are a lawyer. We always don't like to follow the right channel. So I wouldn't like to go in for somebody who have that kind of anxiety because we can't be going on that unknown way. It won't work. So yeah, and I think I've benefited from these conversations. It's important that right from the onset you know people. You meet a lady, you ask her about her past relationship, and she'll be like, "Oh, you are digging too much into my past experience." No, that's not the point.
Yeah.
People are different. Some people, they necessarily want to know about your past to know how to hurt you.
Yeah. Oh,
of
definitely,
course. There are
definitely,
people like that.
definitely.
But in another breath, if I meet you and I want to know your past experience, perhaps I want to know where you are coming from to be able to know how to deal with you. So it benefits certain situations, but that's the main reason why before I am entering, I am trying to sort of get to know you well. And by me, my way of, if I don't like to rubber stamp the process of saying, okay, this girl, I think if I do this, it will help her. No, I want to know where you are coming from so that I will know a tailored suggestion to how best I can help.
That
So
situation.
no, I'm not going in for people who are too much of very anxious.
So if you're anxious, don't message Bright. He's not interested.
I'll block you.
He's not interested in any anxious. He doesn't want clinginess.
No.
He wants to go to work. He wants to go to school, please.
Of course, let's stay focused. Quality time is really good. Let's not mess about with that.
But not too much. Don't overdo it. Every minute.
The point is, sometimes quality time, it can be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It can be 2 minutes.
Obesity day 24.
Don't
that one you don't want.
Don't come around. Don't come around.
Yeah, definitely.
Just that physical touch, maybe they have that 2 minutes. Sometimes they don't need to press them beyond you.
Oh, it's true. Give it, yeah, yeah.
You're so 1 out of 10, you're like, it's going to give you that hat, tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, the person who gives you that hat. I was watching this short videos on TikTok, and it was a guy, like, he was just going around giving people hat.
Yeah.
And there was this girl giving like, girls like, okay, I mean,
Yours is physical touch.
Yeah,
Don't ever go for quality time. Yours is physical touch.
I'll put it as similar, you know. You shouldn't work like be so clingy to me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm yours.
But
Like,
yeah,
you should know.
I think that's understandable. Nobody likes, even me personally, I don't like clinginess. Like,
Or some
I want
people
to
are
breathe.
100%.
But in a harmless conversation,
Mm-hmm.
they try to create those. Oh, today, during your lunchtime, I heard that you were sitting by a snake with one piece of it. So, what are you talking about? No. I guess
Don't go and sit there with them.
Yeah, but don't go sit there. No, like be free. Yeah, be free. Oh,
Some people, when you give them so much chance, free your mind. They will free and free and free and free themselves.
you might not the dumb account home.
Exactly.
Fight,
Yeah.
like that. Because when you go into your husband's phone, you go and dig and dig. If I want to name, well, this is me, my belief.
Yeah.
Trust and share me so.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Give me my time.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
Obia in a time. I don't have to follow that why.
You're not gonna go take it. You don't want to see.
I take it because I don't want to.
You don't
see
want to
anything.
die
You know.
because you don't want to die.
It interests me.
Your mental health is very important to you.
Right. No, and I totally get that. And I always say, people, this is my rule. Everybody is welcome to behave however you want to behave.
Mhm.
I'm also within my rights to respond how I want to respond. Hey. Block it. Block it.
Oh, yeah.
Block it.
When we were at
Change your number.
let me bring
Because
a
of
short
one
conversation.
Change your number.
Oh,
For us to laugh. When we were at uni, I used to have this friend. I think he's okay.
He's watching. He's actually watching.
If you're watching, don't forget to put your
Yeah.
questions.
Never proposed to me,
Uh-huh.
but he was so attached to the extent that when we are at the library and he doesn't come before me,
Mm.
let me come and sit somewhere. Let any other person come and sit beside. Oh God.
Hey.
To the extent that when he even took it to lecturers and all my classmates,
Oh.
everybody who speaks to me, this guy, it got to a point he got sick. He
Oh.
was so
You have
ill.
broken them.
Oh, I
He
see
was
how
so
told
ill
them.
that he was admitted at the hospital.
Oh.
When Ellen, who is the man sitting with you at the lecture?
Hey.
What's the problem? Ellen, are you hungry? Oh yes.
That way he was telling you he loves you.
But
I mean,
don't come now.
POP was there.
Yeah, it's true. Say it.
When we depart, Ellen, I'm a parent. Well,
Wow, shit.
And to well, someone.
Oh, you need to say it with your mouth.
Does it always have to
So
be?
you need to be bold.
Oh,
results
come
come.
on.
Mhm.
You check on the board.
Uh-huh.
Oh, why did this teacher give you A class and I had A?
Hey,
And I was
open a plus.
No. Then you saw how this man was looking at you when he came
Hey.
time.
Okay, that's scary.
Imagine.
That was your soulmate, actually.
Imagine I was
She's happily married.
That was a soulmate.
supposed to be with this.
Yeah.
Like you're wearing baby within 6 months.
Oh. Yeah, you feel constrained. Yeah.
No.
No. Listen.
You'll be able to take the next time.
People are not behaving.
Your signs are just
No, I didn't know I was one.
No, this
Also.
is not a matter of a
Listen, Christabel, I think you bad. I like you. Say, be bold. Say it. Why are you coming?
Wow.
That's not the man I want. If you can't tell me direct,
Really?
you need to say straight. Listen.
It's not by telling you I know.
But his own is different.
Forget the signs.
I think
Signs could be missing. I need you to tell me straight. Sit me down. Like, listen. I think you're nice.
His own was different.
Every Sabbath, okay.
With everyone.
Brings you, let's say, every summer.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't go for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Calls like twice a week checking on. So he doesn't.
Okay, what's then? No, you could be friends. That could easily be interpreted to anything. Listen,
advanced.
I don't know. You're being kind.
These are no. This is advanced operation. This is some of these things. They are extras. You see.
Now that when you get married, the pastor waits for you to say, I don't know, so through your actions, you just say, "Would you know now you say, I prefer someone who's like, okay, they can be signs, but also confirm it with your words. Because
it's true though.
That those signs, not when it's too much.
No, what did them catch a bro?
That guy was your soulmate too. Really?
The people who were around.
Oh, I don't want to go
were saying it, but not me.
Sometimes you've seen it, but you have intentionally decided you don't.
He's my friend.
No, don't do that, brother. Your brothers don't like that.
Yeah. No, sometimes I realize brothers on doesn't work. No, brothers don't work. You have to son zone.
You come.
You are my son. Brothers zone doesn't work.
You can't brother zone me.
No, you have to.
I'm a troublesome man.
No. Sometimes you have to brother zone.
Anyways,
but just to bring you guys.
But I have a problem.
I love you. I would never accept it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
too much. Yeah.
No.
Oh God. Oh no.
I don't know how he was. I don't know. That's
he's watching. I think
he's watching. Yeah, he's shout out. Yeah. Shout out. But it's true. But with something like that, if you had said to your sister, "And I like you," she could have been like, "Oh, I don't like you back," and it could.
Oh yeah.
But you've been doing signs.
The pain of rejection, utter rejection. You haven't pursued PhD before. You haven't.
Oh, that's one to me worried.
Because
guys,
you get to the point where you would.
No, hey, when you don't by force. No. Don't by force. No.
It hasn't really.
Oh, what was this? What this guy not doing?
Well, for your guy, then he's an.
It's too extreme.
Like sorry, so be a better now.
Hey.
Even lecturers
A jealous man.
Okay, that's dangerous.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, and anyone watching, if you do have that situation, please change, seek help. I'm going to bring our session. I know it's beginning, but I'm going to bring our session to the end in the interest of time. As you know, today we've had Youth Corner, we've had our brother Alex, we've had our sister Ellen, and our one and only controversial king.
I have been less of a controversy. I am not.
He did bring a new word, but no. Laboratory process. So make sure you tune in next week, and we will be discussing more of these matters. I know you'll tune in every week. We'll be here at 7 p.m. Make sure you watch on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you may be viewing. And remember, you could always more than welcome to put your questions in, and there will be time for us to read it. So as we've discussed today, we've talked about attachment style and love. And as we ended, if you have any of these dire situations, I pray that you'll be able to take on some of the advice. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back here again next week on Saturday at 7 p.m. So please make sure you tune in and come prepared with your questions. Thank you.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
Be inspired.
You will always be inspired with Pastor Ruben. I urge you all to be inspired by Pastor Ruben and Ponsa every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Be inspired with Pastor Ruben Aponsa. Yeah.